go ahead and call this to go away unless you have additional FTE points to deal with. So just to have that perspective, but I think your request is very noble and very appropriate. And in a perfect world, we'd allow classes, you know, for any request, even if it was 5 kids or 3 kids or 2 kids, but we usually have thresholds just to balance those FTEs. We'll look into it. It's worthy of that because your presentation was very well done. Also, I just wanted to remind the other gentleman, anybody at any point in time, if there are concerns, there's a lot of ways to intervene and to ask questions, whether it's with the principal, following up again with the principal since the teacher got back, you weren't happy with that, talk to the teacher. We have executive director over elementary education that can work with you, Dr. Counts can work with you, I can work with you. So there's a lot of ways to intervene and talk about those concerns prior to bringing them to the board. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. A couple of good news pieces. The official groundbreaking ceremony was held this week for the Lafayette Greenhouse project. If you were there, I'm sure you found it enjoyable. The greenhouse will provide a venue for students to learn about all the processes involved in growing and maintaining an assortment of plants, vegetables, and flowers, something that Mr. Shaughnessy has been working on for a long time and received donations to accomplish, and is going to be just a wonderful learning venue for some of our students. I'm glad that they're able to get that off the ground. This week, students, teachers, staff, and community members celebrated Veterans Day. Schools held special breakfasts, assemblies, decorated schools, and much more. I was able to attend many of these thoughtful and heartwarming events, and I want to extend my personal thanks to all the veterans that call the Rockwood School District home. If you haven't attended some of our Veterans Day events, I really highly recommend that you do. They are heartwarming to say the least, but to see the veterans that do come out and how much pride they have in the programs that our schools are offering. There's often tears, many tears in the house, and because it's usually a program that has built in a way to salute the veterans. And just to give you one example, at Rockwood Summit High School, they all start with a program in the theater, and then right about lunchtime, the entire Rockwood Summit band lines the commons area. All the students, as they're changing class, things just kind of halt and the students come into the commons, and there's kind of this huge human chain area where all the veterans come through, and just applause goes on for 20 minutes while they're just parading in the veterans. And you see some of the, you see a World War II veteran walking in doing this as kids are just clapping, and see the kids get it. It's a very special thing. So my thanks to all of our schools for doing these wonderful events. Local media covered an amazing story out of Rockwood South this week. While the football season just came to a close for the Rockwood Summit Junior Falcons, it ended in the best way possible. You may have seen this on Channel 4, Channel 5. Connor Heiserer is the student manager. He's always wanted to play on the team, and he finally got his chance last week. It was a complete surprise to Connor. I encourage you to check out the story. It's on our website, so you can find that if you did not see that on the news. But a very heartwarming story about Connor Heiserer. Lafayette sophomore Megan Greenstein is a national finalist in the Chase the Race 2016 contest. If she is selected, she will get the chance to cover the presidential election, traveling to debates, national conventions, and even to cover election night. So congratulations to Megan. And the Rockwood School District has received the Association of School Business Officials International Meritorious Budget Award. We have earned this recognition 16 years in a row, and it truly represents our commitment to professional and conservative financial management in the Rockwood School District. Congratulations to Tim and his department on great fiscal stewardship. We appreciate that. And that is all I have for today.
Great, thank you. Any other board members have comments they'd like to make?
I've got a couple. All positive things. The Veterans Day events were awesome, of course. The football game, I had the privilege of being at to watch Connor score his touchdown, and that was amazing for the Rockwood kids and the Lindbergh kids too that participated, because everybody was so gracious watching him score that touchdown. It was awesome. And then I also got to go to the Rockwood South PSO meeting last week. And there was a group of 5th grade girls who are on a robotics team together. They're the Pink Pandas, and they've got this awesome presentation about recycling that they are going through. And so I invited them to come out and talk to us out here because we've talked about having more student groups. And they're trying to get this started at South as a pilot program. And they've got recycling and compost, and I won't share anything more because I don't want to steal their thunder, but hopefully they'll come out in the next couple months and share with us. So. Good stuff.
Dr. Kinder, you going to say something about Lafayette's cross-country team?
Yes, they won state.
Both boys and girls, right?
Yes.
So Lafayette has this overachieving thing going on.
We say Sheridan from the other schools in the district. They're just dominating.
Yeah. Thought you were going to mention.
Rockwood Summit is playing tomorrow night.
Yep.
Tomorrow night?
Chance to go to the Final Four.
Yep.
Is there anything else?
No?
You sure?
All right, seeing no others, we'll move on.
Marquette won state in softball, didn't they?
No.
No, second place.
Second.
Close enough.
Golf.
Close.
Girls golf team won state.
Golf
We
team.
won the first runner-up.
That's right.
And Lafayette girls volleyball.
Yep.
I mentioned
That's what we said, yep. Okay.
All right, then let's move on to the the consent agenda items. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
So moved.
Second, any discussion or comments?
I do on the charitable contributions. No, not that one. Not that one. Well, I'll read, I was going to read them anyhow. Oh, there they are. There's 6 this month. Crestview Parent Organization donated $4,800 for audio-visual equipment to be used for ceremonies, PE classes, and assemblies. Congratulations. Eureka High School, PTO, donated $1,577.42 for students to use graphing calculators in the math classrooms and for the ACT. And these are the most up-to-date graphing calculators. Gaggy PTO donated $9,000 for basic line package on gym floor and second field trip by grade. Marquette High School PTO donated $4,496.50, replacing current banners.
Items as amended. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Very well, that carries. Let's then go to agenda item 7.09 and need a motion to approve the personnel items listed in 7.09 as listed.
So moved.
You have a motion?
Second?
And a second. Any discussion on those items? All right then, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. And any abstentions, please say something.
Abstain.
One abstention. All right, that passes 6-0 with 1 abstention. Thank you. And just in terms of explanation, generally if one of the board members is related to or personally knows somebody in there, it's best to abstain from that vote. So it doesn't mean that there was anything wrong with the motion. It means that there's a relationship somewhere there, and I wanted to make sure that remains absolutely clean. So. All right, agenda items. 8.01, American Education Week Proclamation. If I could ask Laura Baker, the RNEA President, and the Teacher of the Year, John Frank, to come up and join us. And while they're doing
that we had this past summer, and then take a look at what we're at, not only so far this year, but what we have for the year, remainder of the year and beyond. I did want to share with you that I'll be sharing a similar presentation in Parkway next month. So with that, just kind of jump into it. I thought it was interesting as I was putting my presentation together for tonight. I went back to one of the many presentations that I had the pleasure of talking with the board over the last few years. And this was the last slide on the last presentation that I gave to the board prior to the start of the partnership. And I won't read through it. But what I think is interesting, I'm hoping that what you hear tonight is that on all of these items that we anticipated happening, we're either making great progress or we're there. So it's been an exciting year. Lots of great things have been happening. what I'd like to just call attention to on this slide is that here in Rockwood, we knew that one of the benefits of the partnership was that we're going to start offering adult programming here in Rockwood for Rockwood adults. And we had 42,000 total registrations in community ed last year. And it's important to understand registration for us means seat filled. So each of our programs kind of count their participation levels a little different. Some are dependent upon the way the state tells us to count them. Some of them are just dependent upon seats sold. So for example, in our Learn to Swim classes, we may have a family who has a child sign up for 3 sessions in a row. Well, that's 3 seats filled for us. You'll remember that our programs are fee-based. So anytime someone pays a fee, we count that as a seat filled. So there were over 42,000 registrations. And of that, going back to the adding the adult programming here in Rockwood, we had 400 Rockwood adults participate in programs last year. So we went from 0 the year before to 400 last year. And what was really great about that, on more than one occasion, we heard from several older adults who made comments coming into classes. These are typically evening classes that we'll do in locations around the district, making comments about how they hadn't been in the buildings for years. And it was great to be back in the buildings and see all the things that were happening. So we're very pleased to be able to offer these opportunities. We look at community ed as a way to connect with all residents of the district of all ages. So we're really pleased to be able to offer those opportunities for patrons. The other thing I want to just kind of call attention to is I sort of went back and looked, and we're always taking pictures of the great things we're doing, but when we look at community ed, we like to provide opportunities for kids to find their spark. So they may know what they're passionate about, or they may not know, and they may just want to try a bunch of different things. And so through community ed, kids are able to do kind of run the gamut, whether it's hiking the mountains in Wyoming, basketball leagues. I did want to just call your attention real quick. I'd be remiss if I didn't. That bottom right picture is a picture from our Rockwood Thunder volleyball program, which is our competitive club volleyball program. And I'm pleased to announce that there are 11 Rockwood Thunder players on the Lafayette High School State Girls Championship team that just won the state title. So we're pleased to be able to offer a variety of services, a variety of programs that sort of help kids find their spark. And now I'm also pleased to say we can do it for adults too. So you'll just, some more pictures there, some various types of programs that we offer throughout the year for adults. So as we look at what the year that was, one of the items I just wanted to spend a few minutes on was talking about the financials and spend a little bit of time on that. You'll recall that Rockwood serves as a fiscal agent for the partnership, and what that means is that the revenues all flow through Rockwood, so we are a fee-based programming. So all the revenues flow through Rockwood, and then we allocate those revenues based on each district's participation. And those expenses and revenues can either be shared or specific. So what that means, for example, a shared expense would be my salary. My salary is shared between the 2 districts. A specific expense might be site-based Adventure Club staff in Rockwood or site-based Adventure Club staff in Parkway. And so those expenses are allocated specifically to that district. So we work through all of that throughout the year. As revenues come in, we allocate them accordingly, and as expenses are paid out, we allocate those accordingly. That's just a list of the different programs, program areas under the umbrella of community ed. And so when we look at what the final year results were for FY15, on a total program revenue of just over $8 million, there was just under $7.8 million in expenses, which resulted in a net of about $285,000. And so as I mentioned how we allocate those revenues and expenses out, this is how it broke out across the 2 districts. So from that 285, you can see how Rockwood's portion came out, as well as Parkway's portion. And you'll recall a consent agenda item that you approved tonight was for us to go ahead and make that payment to Parkway for their portion of the community ed finances for the year. I did also want to just call a quick attention down at the bottom of that screen. I know some of you are familiar with this, but over the years we've been very pleased through community ed to help fund some facility maintenance expenses throughout the district when our finances allow. And these are projects that are community ed, mutually beneficial, not only for community ed, but for schools. We know that we're in the schools a lot. We know that we are creating some general wear and tear on facilities, and so we think it's the right thing for us to do to help support some of the costs for those repairs and maintenance when it comes up. And so Just in the fiscal year FY15, I'm very pleased to kind of show you the list of projects that we were able to do. And I would just note that first bullet point there are the elementary gym floors. That completes now the project. So that means that all of the elementary gym floors, with the exception of Babler Elementary, have been replaced now over the last, I think it's been 3 or 4 years, with the new TerraFlex floor that was identified as facilities as the new floor replacement. The reason Babler has not been replaced, that's a wood floor. There was some roofing work that needed to be done at Babler, which was causing some water leakage on the floor, and everyone thought it would be wise that the roofing get repaired before we deal with the floor. And so that's a project that we are in conversation with facilities about assisting with costs on that. And so then all the elementary gym floors will be complete. Excuse me, and we are looking, and as we kind of look forward, we are absolutely, let's start this for FY, the fiscal year we're in, we took a look at our operations function, and you'll recall that we kind of did some restructuring of our staffing to help us be more efficient with our limited human resources that we have, as well as better serve our customers. And so at that point, we implemented an operations supervisor. I can tell you that as part of the leadership team, what we've been talking about a lot for the last several months is sort of now taking a look at our marketing efforts, because what we've really experienced here in the last 5 years is a dramatic change in the way that we communicate and promote programming to patrons. And so 5 years ago, social media wasn't a whole lot. Well, it's no longer a novelty in the world of lifelong learning. It's actually something that we live and breathe and do every day. But it's just beyond Facebook, it's Twitter, it's Instagram. It's all of these things that reach different audiences that we need and lead that every day for us. That's not a capacity we have right now in our staffing. So when we looked at as a group, we also asked Learn to look at this when they were doing the program review and compare our staffing structure as it relates to marketing to other lifelong learning organizations, and it is very consistent that the high-performing organizations have this marketing professional. So that's what the request is tonight in front of you.
Any questions about that?
Mike, at $7,800, is that the salary for this minus the salary for the senior graphic designer, or is that the total salary?
No, that's the difference between the total compensation package, salary, benefit.
In the Human Resources Department to provide support for the Parkway Rockwood Community Education Partnership.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Tell us about this one.
Okay, excellent. So thanks, Mike, for allowing me to come up and talk about this. So as you know, Rockwood manages the recruiting, hiring, onboarding process of all community ed, or of most 9 additional sites. So.
Yeah, everything Katie says is right on. I would add that this is something we anticipated as we went through the planning of the partnership. We knew that as growth would come, we'd need to address that. But we wanted to do it in a way that, one, we addressed it when the growth required it, but two, we wanted to make sure that the financials could support it. And so now that we've been through that first year, we have a sense of where the financials are. We're comfortable that, one, from a capacity standpoint, we're there, but two, the financials can support it.
And so this continues to be self-supporting through the community education program. It's grown to that point, so it's going to pay for the support position it needs to continue to grow.
That's right. The position's fully funded by the community ed budget.
Great.
And the position will specifically work with community ed.
So they won't report to you, they'll report to Mike.
No, they will report to Human Resources. We'll work collaboratively, but it'll be a Human Resources position that works specifically on community ed.
Any other questions or comments? All right, the motion on the floor is to create a support position in the Human Resources to support the Parkway Rockwood Community Education Partnership. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. That passes as well. Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right, next issue is bond issue purchases, and I think Mr. Rooney and Mr. Friend are going to join us. I need a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts, $7,500 to $150,000 as submitted.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. As we usually do at this point out that we've somewhat arbitrarily in the bond issues drawn a line at $150,000. Anything, all the issues that come under $150,000 we'll look at one at a time, but we'll approve as a group. Anything that's over $150,000 we will take one at a time to make sure we examine them as a board and approve them. Tonight we don't have any over, but we do have, I believe it's just one, but Mr. Rooney, I'll turn that over to talk about those that are under $150,000.
Yeah, actually we have three. Two of them are kind of related. NAPI truck equipment. We had a line in the bond budget for to replace some of our oldest fleet And so these two items, one is for snow removal equipment and a utility bed on one of the vehicles, and the other one is for the snow plow and salt spreader. Then we have the third one is on Redexum turf products, and it's for a top dresser. And what this does is for the organic infill that we have for the fields, that settles down into the end of the field and leaves a gap. So we need to top dress that. So this is something they pull behind the tractor, and it just broadcasts some more of that fill. So we have to do that once each year. So this one piece of equipment will be used for all 4 fields.
Does this go on the same trucks that we just approved the lifts and back for?
Right, yeah, well, no, not on the same trucks. I think we purchased 4 vehicles, and I think these are for 2 of the vehicles, and then we had one, I think, on the previous board meeting too.
This says track system replacement. This really isn't the track though, right? This is in support of the synthetic fields.
Right.
I know that's the name they put on it, but what this means is the conditioning of the infill to keep it in a ready-to-use status.
That's right. I didn't actually catch that title.
Well, I don't doubt that that's the word they use, but it's
Right.
a little misleading. It's not for the track.
That's
It's-
correct.
It's to keep the fields in the right condition for playability.
It is
correct.
technically a track system, not related to the
Not ready to the track.
the track.
Right. Good. It's a little bit misleading, but that's what
Actually, I
it's
think
for.
that, yeah, this is part of that item in the bond issue, and that's
Yeah.
why, yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Great, there we go.
And this is done annually?
This done
This
annually,
right here?
yes. Yeah, but this cost is not an annual cost. We just didn't have the piece of equipment that broadcasts that.
Gotcha.
And in the original, when we bought the other positions such as counselors that are included in that election, so we also put that in there. And then we also stipulated in the policy that they will receive their final pay within 10 working days of the end of their contract. So those are the substantive changes. And then as various people have reviewed it, they made some editorial changes in the language. So you'll see that there are other things in there, but that's the meat of the change.
Yeah, I did read through this, and as it's presented right there, it's difficult with all the colors and the
Right.
strike-throughs. But it really did make a nice difference. It's much more understandable the way somebody fixed some of the grammar that was an issue there. So a lot of it is just that.
Right.
Any questions or comments about this policy?
Was that all grammar or?
No, there's
Stipulations like policy that you need to change with any policy?
Yeah, those policy changes relate to not being so specific about it just relating to teachers, because there are other employee groups that are included in this election. The form number and the fact that that they'll receive their pay within 10 days of the end of the contract.
Okay, thanks.
So the fact that it says President's Day, and this is what we were just talking about, he was trying to explain this to me. President's Day and Thanksgiving Day, why are those two in there?
Those are the President's Day and Thanksgiving Day are the 2 holidays that teachers in the Rockland School District are paid for.
But one thing about Mike, the whole policy is payment of certified staff salaries. So there are issues that relate to the payment of certified staff salaries. What I mentioned to you are the 3 substantive changes that we made, which relate more to the balance of contract pay. But there are other issues within that, and primarily those are editorial changes. They're not substantive.
That's existing. That's
Okay.
not a new
Alright.
approval, and
That's fine, I just didn't understand it. Okay.
And just a matter of procedure again, the motion is to postpone once again we'll have the presentation tonight. If anybody wishes to make comments, we won't vote on it till the next time, so that there's an opportunity for the public and for us to read through it again. We need to do that. So. The motion on the floor is to postpone the approval of this policy until the December 3rd meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Ms. Vito, that carries. And I guess the next one, Dr. Rivoli is going to join us again. Thank you, Tim. The next one, need a motion to postpone approval of policy 4120, which is employment procedures, until the December 3rd next board meeting. Is that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ridley, can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, sure. Good evening again. This is a change that would enhance the pre-approval process that exists in our employment procedure policy. So as you can see in red, above the red, we currently have a process where the board president and vice president may approve the employment of an individual. We call that a pre-approval with a full Board of Education approval at the next regular scheduled board meeting in order to get the employee to begin working in those critical need areas. Typically it happens in child nutrition, adventure club. If we had a teacher that was the teacher needed to begin work, we would ask for pre-approval. What we're asking for is a consideration that during the summer month or in usual circumstances, the board president can permit the superintendent to give that pre-approval. And as you know, we do every August run into situations where we need pre-approval for a variety of positions, teachers, child nutrition, adventure club, to get school running, and that's on a daily basis that we would seek that pre-approval during summer months or during unusual circumstances.
I can give a little history of this. The previously, way back in time, anybody that's going to be hired by the district has to be approved by the Board of Education. And so they couldn't hire anybody until we had a Board of Education meeting. And unfortunately, the community ed folks bugged out on us, but I would pick on them here. The success of their program was such that we had many more people applying for them, many more students needing to get into the Adventure Club program that we didn't expect. Parents signed up at the last minute, and school was going to start in 2 days, and we didn't have the people to man those positions. So as a board, we at one point, 3 or 4 years ago, we decided that with the president and the vice president's signature, that we could go ahead and hire people on a contingency basis. Permanent employment was still contingent on the entire board approving it, but we could get those people in place. Over the last couple of years, we've talked about that's been ongoing, and it's been a continuing thing, and you can't plan for it because you don't know when people are going to sign up for them. So we're going to codify this a little bit and just make it a little more smooth. It still requires full board approval to hire somebody permanently, but during those months when this really happens, and it's always in August, it's right at the end of the summer, that the board president, whoever that is at the time, can authorize the superintendent, yes, bring on the people you need, and he has to tell them by name who those are, but can bring on those people, and then at the next board meeting, we'll make permanent approval of those. So it does not subvert the board's authority to hire, it simply streamlines the process so that we can get people in place where we need them in a timely manner. So that's probably preaching to the choir, but that's how we got to where we are.
We also still have the ability, if it's pre-approved, that's the next board meeting, we say no.
Yes, if there's a reason to disapprove that, we can end that employment right then.
I think that's real important to point out, especially for people that would be listening, that it does not remove,
You have a job for 2 weeks.
which is what you're saying, but just to reiterate that it does not remove the board's authority and appropriateness in the hiring. It just allows the work to begin, and then the board can confirm that at the next meeting.
And if there's, and the district does a vetting process, so it's not like somebody's slipping through the cracks that's got a bad history or a bad record. But the board still approves it later, but it's not just a matter of, well, we don't care, we'll examine it later. There's still that vetting process that happens up front. So, any questions or comments about this policy? Okay, like the other ones, we're going to postpone that so that there's an opportunity for review. So the motion on the floor is to postpone the approval of that policy until the December 3rd meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Ms. Peter, that does carry. Thank you very much. The next one is going to be handled by Dr. Knost. I need a motion to postpone approval of policy 0412, public participation at board meetings, until the December 3rd meeting once again. And we'll ask Dr. Knost to tell us about that one.
This is actually something that's been hanging out there since before I was superintendent. In fact, one of the meetings that I attended after I was superintendent, this was a pretty hefty discussion by a board that looks quite a bit different now in makeup as far as the members that sit here. But there was a little bit of back and forth about the idea of either clamping down or tightening up patrons that could speak at our public meetings versus the idea of leaving it open. And I can't speak for prior administration, but we talked about this at last year's retreat, and we've been kind of exploring some things, and My recommendation all along has been to stay pretty consistent with what MSBA suggests, and there's something so important, which is really what we had in place, and the only correction on here is just fixing the fact that it definitely goes in the direction of keeping this opened up, but the reality of it is, if you have public comment sections at a public meeting, you really have to allow anyone, by statute, you have to allow anyone who signs up to speak the right to speak. You really cannot restrict. And you can put that in your policy, but it's not, you're not able to uphold that.